So what I'll do is I want to check my math.
Just moving, wasn't like at 0.5. You set it to like 0.5 or whatever.
Not bad. Alright, so
The time, maybe make it 0.3.
I would probably like
maybe make it 50, make it like 10.
You know what? None of this matters for you.
Okay, put it in put it in the thing. Yeah.
I gotta stop using my phone. Some auto versions are actually like separate.
So make it like 5, and then change the 0.3 back to. So was it 0.5 or was it 0.5? Okay. Yeah, just keep that. And then
What's the way after
make that 5.
export this higher quality OBJ?
Can you go for like a simpler noise too? Like see how the white is super prominent? Yeah, you wouldn't look like more. Yeah. But I think we need to go for like a more smoother noise too. Like
I might say the one show what's not.
See if it's shaking a little bit. Is it shaking a little bit? Yeah, I haven't done it.
Because I just gotta see if I'm stretching this so much
Interesting.
that I am.
Oh, you mean like
Yeah.
What I got?
She bought a file. She bought a file.
It's more trendy one. You don't have to use more noise. I think you should use like
Because the pie that they had.
use like just like that one's like I don't know what that is.
Yay.
That could be cool. Oh.
I'm gonna do some adjustments to make this thing look more
Like
fast.
doing something.
All I need to check is like, did I do so much on
That's
it
cool.
that if I slap those maps back on this model,
Yeah,
like
like-
everything here, everything, you know? I don't think I will. I think it's gonna be okay. The only adjustments I'm doing, I'm basically gonna hit this thing. I'm basically about to hit this thing with a inflate and a little bit of a lag. And
Yeah, it's crazy to me that
you know what I mean?
yeah.
So what I'm looking at is like the donuts around everywhere, and that extends outwards with the distance field around the objects that it traces. But it's, no matter what.
My phone died, so what? It was at like 4. Oh, this is new. What do I want to do today? Now, how did I do today? Oh, there's also a new camera angle. I kind of unlocked the new camera angle, not gonna lie. You know, this camera part here usually is like over on the other side. So this just unlocked a new way of filming. What did I do today? Well, I had a Loco Moco, a rice bowl with an egg on top, like a sunny side up egg, with a hamburger meat in the middle, like a chive thingy, and then a macaroni salad, and some like gravy-esque thing on the top. It was good. I'm not good on the palate on the top right. But I am sort of vibing. You know? Like, what do you mean by vibing? I'm sort of vibing. I want to buy cards. No! Don't! So we just did peer review for portfolio class, and I matched up with Alice and Dylan. Worse Dylan. Not better Dylan. I don't know. You're like, why am I trying to preface that? Okay. Anyhow, Alice did her independent study with, not independent study, blog post about her internship, which was cool. And then she showcased like VFX stuff and a little bit of her website. Then Dylan just showcased his computer monitor thing and also talked about how he's been in contact with like someone on LinkedIn saying, oh, that's kind of cool, and how he went about going to this one thing called, it's not called TwitchCon, it's called Tween Televise or something, but it's like an environmental class like where you get like mentorship stuff, like someone, you know, people like who do like 80 level up are like known to like get like talked about the process of how they make something or interviewed, so that's cool. I already forgot the name, so and then me and Dylan looked through like people who do environment art stuff. There's mention of arc raiders, because we were looking at arc raider stuff, and someone who did like freelance, it seems like, for a lot of the environmental objects, and The Last of Us renditions of the PS4 to PS5 environment updates, how they did the lighting, how they just did their props, etc. And then I showcased my card parameters and my website to them on the ArtStation, which is kind of cool. Then I went back to the back. I sat in the back usually, you saw. And I talked with Bryce about his asteroid stuff, which is kind of cool. And Santiago had to leave because his computer crashed. And I think Danny announced at the front of the class, like, hey, don't let Bryce, hog up, don't sabotage Bryce because of his uni stuff. But actually it was Santiago who has a lot of the audio stuff and the computer stuff, who has a harder time to do things, because sure, Bryce does stuff in Houdini, but he's mostly pertaining a lot of the stuff that he's trying to fix in Unreal Engine 5, which is a video game engine where you can make video games in, if you don't know what that is. And I think that's it. And then I got in the car, because I think it was time to leave, so. The vibe is there. The vibe of whether or not I buy cards, and I just showcase, like, here are the cards. It's a vibe. It really is. And I'm sort of like, I don't want the One Piece card game. I say that with sarcasm. I don't want the One Piece card game. At the same time, it's sort of like, why do I want to sense to have the card game? I don't need the card game. What I do need, though, is I need to do my email to known Kisar. I also have to email my dental stuff because my parents want me to change the date of that. That's just for me. And I think I also have to edit my videos. I know I'm gonna finish editing my videos today and tomorrow. I know that. I'm gonna be like done. Dun 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 dun. Card games are just a cool thing to do for my brain to work. I think it would be awesome to honestly have a designated video of a revamp of just, like, for my days, like one of my days, probably like tomorrow, I don't know, or maybe on a Sunday, I showcase everything I do at the end, but at the first half, I sort of just you know, just talk about like, hey, here's a card game I'm making. And I think that's like my hobby. I think that's my side hustle. You know, it's like, what do you mean by that? I like my gacha game aspect. I like it so much. And I feel like there's a lot of games now which they could have been in development, and again, I didn't know they were a thing. Like Riftbound or the One Piece TCG, where you have leaders and then you have your mains or your commanders or something. Not your commander decks, but like you have like the basic card in which is always on play and you can always activate its power skill. And then you have your secondary one where it's like, okay, it's your like almost like this. I could be messing up things wrong, but that's okay. And then you have like a front line where you're sort of like, that is like your main stuff, like main characters or like things that happen. And yeah, it's just very interesting, to say the least, because I'm like, oh, I've thought of the idea of having, you know, cards, 3 cards that you're able to attack, and event cards like in Riftbound, or just like landscape cards, and it's like, wow, that's crazy. I was thinking of that. No, I wasn't really thinking of that. I was thinking of like more arc events associated with trying to change the tides of the battlefield. You know where I'm going, right? No, you don't know where I'm going. I'm going to the mall. I'm sorry. Okay. No, I think it's one of those things where I would say, like, after the aftermath of yesterday, I actually feel fine. And it's kind of one of those weird things where you're like, huh, it's done. And I'm like, I hate that. Like I have just like this feeling of like just like sporadic spontaneity, but sometimes even in a bad way, where it was like me feeling like it was the worst day of my life. But now today, since it's a Friday, maybe it's because it's a Friday, I'm just like, you know what, they're doing okay. Just gotta edit the videos, they're good. And I think it will show. This is why I always want to be genuine, because when I look back, I don't recall like so much of like what I do. Or like I can change like that to be like, oh, okay, I'm here. But yeah, I think just be in the. If I do get a card, you'll see. You'll see. And that will be either great or either not great. I don't know. Let me spin it back here because this is nice. I got 2 TCG stuff, which is more or less just for like a folder thing. That's all I got. Okay, I think there was like 3 people, but they were at a table at Uncle's Games, and I'm like, thank you, Fear Anxiety, for not making me want to go inside and actually go and buy the One Piece. There's one in Netflix. Not Netflix, Target. There's one in Target. So I could look at Target and see what's there, but I'm not. Again, I think I need to dissect the feeling of a trading card. Maybe it is fear of missing out. I'll not dissuade that. I think for me, it's more so the art of the card. You know, like, wow, that's kind of great. Or like the hype. I think there's a difference, to me at least, of like fear of missing out. Like, oh my gosh, everyone's loving or everyone's hating this game. But I think for me, it's like people saying it's the format, or like the Bonza format. I'm like, what is it? The Bahamas format. I don't know. With like the Gundam TCG. I'm like, I don't even know what the Gundam TCG. What is this? Or like, I don't even know what the One Piece TCG is. Like, what is this? And I'm just like, the formatting. I'm like, I want the formatting physically. That's my mindset right now. That's then the hype itself. Like, would I continue buying One Piece ECGs? No. But I think it's sort of the appeal of there's a new format than Pokemon or Magic and Gathering that has crossed my eyes, my crosshairs, and I'm like, very interesting. So I might go to, I need to find a binder for this so that way I can supply my cards in a better way, because I don't want them to be in the box. I got roughly 60 pieces. 2 pieces are 30. No, 1 piece is 30. So I got another piece, so I got 60. And I know I have roughly around that amount right now of cards. And you're like, whoa, that's crazy. I'm like, I know, I'm crazy. But yeah, no, I'm gonna prioritize editing my videos. That's what I'm gonna do today, and probably showcase some of my card stuff. Maybe initially I showcase some of my card stuff and from what I've learned, and then second I work on editing my videos. I'm mute. No, you muted on me. Yeah, it's great. You know, it's like, what or wouldn't you know what you... Also, okay, I got a note to myself that the due date for the stuff for portfolio class is the week 14, which is in 3 weeks, counting that being the 3rd week. So honestly, it's 2 weeks and a half. So bear that in mind. Also, I can anticipate, worry on myself if I don't get stuff done. You will see that probably. And I don't want to note that it's sort of a thing where it's like, you know, it's typical. But it's one of those things where I'm just gonna catch right now. I won't force myself to feel like I need anticipation, but I'm gonna clock it right here to be like, anything after this, if you see me going to worry, it's more just like the anticipation of a deadline feeling inside me. That's like a parasite, and I'm sort of like, that's kind of great, and I know that is really great. That's because worry be like that sometimes, you know. But no, what I did last night was I did try to edit the 4th video, but then I know on my phone I had the 5th videos stuff like on there on my phone, and then I had a low storage capacity to get things in there, so I'm not like, oh, okay. I might look at Staples. I might look at Staples to see if they have the binder thing. If not, then I'm going to go into Ben Franklin Crafts to find it. So yeah, I'm gonna take a picture of this and see how this goes. No. You're like, no. I could go to Target. No, I'm not going to Target. I'm not gonna... I guess I just have to... Gotta look online then. I'll look online. Otherwise, yeah, I'm just gonna stand there and hear me cry. That's alright, 'cause I love the way it hurts. What? You're gonna stand there and let me I know, right, because I love the way you lie. I love the way you lie. You told me that there's truth in the mirror, but there's no mirror to look at because I have no reflection. Oh, am I a vampire or am I just a bat? Oh no, am I clueless? Am I a man or a muppet? Who knew I would have been more than I already been if I had all the clues? You gotta stand there and feel me. That's alright because I love the way you. Oh, still moving backwards. Okay, a little bit. Okay, I had to evasive maneuvers, my guy. Like I had to evasive maneuver my MacGyver or something, bro. There was a car that was trying to get through, and like I just. Hey, you know what I'm saying? Okay. We don't show car crashes in this video. You're like, what do you mean? Certified! That's what it's gonna be called. I think what I have to do is... I don't know. Maybe I'm just crazy that I feel like I'm on top of things. And it's been a while. So you'll see me probably do stuff with this. Hello, this is Nathaniel Roldan. I bought some of a card safe from Daiso because, you know, the intrinsic thoughts fuel me. And they didn't have a binder. So I'm using rings to showcase my cards. I'm gonna probably add more cards and iterate more on the types of skills that they have and iterations of the values that they might have, but I think this is like the basic setup or design of my cards. I don't go any higher because the resolution breaks, so I might just zoom in to just note that. Here is the simple breakdown. Also, every 5 minutes I'm gonna pause, so keep that in mind. Or 3 minutes. So this is the basic format of a card. You have a character drawing, you have active and prone states and a defense state. So currently it's in the active state, then it's in the defense state, and then it's in the prone state if it's facing an opponent this way. We have a types. The types, for me, I would assume in my card game, not just assume, but like know, is from learning as of now, is sort of like the types of card decks that you might have. So it'd be like a red deck, or a blue deck, or a black deck, or a white deck. No! Okay, and then this is the mana cost of every card that has. And what mana cost does is it is the value or currency of my game. So you would want to have, I'm gonna say in terms for my game at least, waifu cards or character cards to have on the board to get costs. That is your whole goal. And you can even try to monopolize on character card game, characters and waifus, but then there are also event cards which might affect how you do so, or you need to trade, etc., etc. AFF means affinity, so it means the relationship with the player or you when you have them on play. And you would have to roll a d20 dice, which I don't have with me right now, to correlate from a 1 to 20, whether 1 is it's very easygoing character card, so they will always try to like probably attack and help you like fight against the other waifu / character cards. Or if it's a high 20, then you have to put item cards on the character to gain their trust and relationship value to a lower cost, so that way you're able to play them. If you can't beat their affinity, that means they will not help you. Attack is just your base attack, and you can have items in which can enhance their abilities. And health here is just the implication of like when the car is still alive or dead. So based off the attack, let's say for example 6, and this HP was 12, then this would have 6 health left. I'm thinking about probably having cards for both energy and health, since health seems to be like a 1 to 20, so I don't really think I have like anything necessary to like make it any higher than specifically just adding more to the scale. But with energy costs, I think a max of like 30 cards is fine for each player. That way they know like how much they accumulate and how much cost they can get from the gacha banners. Hello, this is an appreciation post of my character cards, and specifically all my character cards are OCs, and I also have made pop culture cards as well. So you'll see those and how I went about them. I will go into a little bit about how I went about each one, and I'm riffing this off of the dome of my head, so keep that in mind. So Evelyn Fresco, she is an OC of mine who I drew digitally, and essentially her type is a brawler and a creative, and she's a part of a team of 4 that are similar to Attack on Titan, with the abilities of like vacuum cleaners as weapons or mobile gear to destroy like dust entities like dust bunnies or dust clouds or dust storm tornadoes, etc., etc. But that's where that idea stemmed from her. And she's also doesn't have a right arm. She uses a bionic arm, which is one of her items that you can attach to her to gain either like HP, attack. I don't remember the ability, but that's what that is. And that's why also they are like very physique based than like having like clothing on them, like something like this one. I put glasses on some of them, but essentially I just did it just for proportions or like scale, like how tall and how, yeah. Oh, okay, this is the recording I choose. So these two are from Character AI actually, and I more or less just generated the physical appearance of them, but the ideas of them are mine specifically. So Hermit Haley, she is a tank and she's sneaky. In Character AI, I wanted to create a character who is very sleep deprived and sluggish and bedridden, and I wanted to see how it would talk to me back that way and with those parameters. So that's the whole deal. For that one, she is just a normal human who is just Hermit. And Zena Sin Javitz is an isekai deity who pertains with like magic. She is someone who comes from an isekai world, from what I recall from my Character AI, and she is dropped into the real world, and she speaks in a different language. She's trying to like figure out what she is, but she also has like this little girl like lolly like physique, and just like, what? I was this all-powerful entity, but now I'm like a girl, like stuck in this body. Like, I don't want this. And she has like a little tail and like horns. It's very cute. All is. So the next ones is Comer Basil. She's also from Character AI, and she is a time-traveling gangster. Essentially, I wanted to create a character in which you're able, similar to Amal Paraquin, which was my favorite OC honestly still, is that she is an investigator who time travels from place to place, similar to the Time Bureau in Loki. And she's like a contract. And she's very creative, she's a brawler, and she has ranged abilities. Or she's just ranged. Alpha Leilani, also from Character AI. I just wanted to create this alpha assassin who has like very like much of a hunter instinct. So she's very sneaky, she's very creative, and yeah, that was from that. Sandra Nile. She is an Egyptian boxer, also from Character AI, which I wanted to create an Egyptian boxer, which when you unentomb from like, because you're a was it archaeologist, you find her and then she like immediately punches you in the face like once you like unearth her like tomb. It's like crazy, but she is a fighter nonetheless. Jericho Phoebes, she's also from Character AI that I made, and essentially she's a space outlaw. The idea of her character was actually from an AI dungeon world that I created a while back, which also AI dungeon is another form before Character AI that I used. That's also like D&D generated like world building stuff, and essentially she is honestly somewhat the female version of Curtis Fremont, who is a space contract person as well, like outlaw or rogue, who I did a lot of adventures with when like writing out in the AI dungeon. So she's range and she's like very much a tank. Gwyneth Myers. She's also a character AI character that I created, and essentially I wanted to create a character who is sort of like a dungeon master but is a quest giver. And in the character AI itself, it's sort of that you get approached by this person who has this like big book, and she's like very excited, very like, oh my gosh, like I finally have my first quest to like give to someone. So sort of that I feel like she's very creative and she's very magical in that sense, and that's why she's very like happy in that sort of capacity. Dakota is also a character AI character, and she is a vampire scientist who I created just for the sense of like, if you reach immortality in that span, like she researches a lot of like, she's like a doctor almost, but like the serum to like be undead or whatnot, she like takes care of them in some capacity or researches them in the course and so on. So she's very much a range, a creative, and very magical as a result. Natalia Lubov is also a character AI character that I created, which was based off just the idea of like, can I write or craft a drunk gambling female? How is that like? That was it, and that became her. And she's very creative in that sense of like how she goes about on the field itself. In some capacity, I'm talking about the skill specifically, like since she's like a very drunk person, like all her drinks can like double her attachments and whatnot, and anything that's like gives her that creative outlook, like, hey, let me use this as a tool, like because she's like very like tipsy and whatnot, is very interesting. Eleanor Augustus, she is one of my OCs that I did not use character AI specifically for. She's one of my first ever that I started when getting into digital art to create OCs. She's one of them. And she is a pirate nun. I was inspired by Assassin's Creed, and I wanted to just make someone who is very revered, but also very pungent in her religious beliefs. So she's very much a fighter, and she's very like stealthy as a result. And fighter right here is more different than a brawler, because a fighter uses like weaponry, while a brawler is more like fisticuffs. I could put Natalia Lubov, like as I think about it now, as a brawler, and again, that's just how I like think about stuff. So Iris, she is a character AI character that I crafted, and she is the living weapon maid. I was thinking about at the time Soul Eater and how you have these weaponry duos where a humanoid character can turn into a weapon. So this is what came out of making a living weapon maid in character AI, and how they would just like associate and talk like very tentatively. So she's very defense and magic oriented. And then Ariel Santos, she is a original character that I did digital art for. No character AI used. She is a Force user, and I got inspired by just the Star Wars when it was like May the 4th be with you, and then like May the 5th when that came out. So, and I just did like cool fan art or OC of like what would an OC of mine be like. So she's very magical, very creative, very stealthy, and she's one of the few cards that I find interesting that you can prone another card for like a force push, like and then they just like fall over and like just get prone that way, which is awesome. And also, she's the reason why I have the prone ability, just in general, or like wanting to expand on the layout format. She's the reason why I decided to make these formats for the game specifically. Yanwa Ibudori, she's a space bunny girl that I created or crafted in character AI with the sole purpose of, honestly, there's a lot of degeneracy in character AI. You know, there's a lot of like lewdness. I want a clean cut space bunny girl that when you interact with her, she's like, no, in my religious belief, I don't do those things. I want just to be your friend. And it's like, wow, that's kind of great. And I've done that, and it's awesome. So she's very creative, she's very healing, and she's very magical as a result. Jade Conway, she's one of my original OCs that I did digital art for, and she is by no means the idea of a parkour guru. I think her whole element that I came about from her is actually from an art piece from this person over here, or this person, whatever it shows, and it's on my wall actually. And the whole point of it was like a sword, some umbrella, and I was thinking of Ruby at the time, and I crafted this scythe umbrella where like it opens up into like a scythe but then can like roll back and then turn into like an umbrella. She is very much a brawler and she's very stealthy. Mother Mallory. Mother Mallory is a character AI that I crafted, and she's very much the appeal of mommy. I was really into like Warhammer or just like artillery and armor on female characters, because I'm in the frame that like I feel like female characters in armor should be crafted to their body. It should not just be for aesthetic reasons and having like a chainmail bikini for like +10 defense, you know. In her like weaponry and armor, she's like very like artificer like as her role, and like very commanding in what she does in her roles. So she's very much a fighter, she's a range, and she's a defense. She's very skilled in all those aspects. My favorite OC, Amala Paraquin. She's one of my first digital art characters in the draft of getting into my digital art career, and she is a anomaly investigator. Essentially, I am really big into during the time King Pixel's backrooms and liminal spaces, and I was reading also a webtoons comic about just like the mysterious anomalies. I'll put it like up here or something if I can find it. But essentially, she has a smoke pipe, and she has ability to summon this Cthulhu-like entity with the smoke pipe. She is very much Gravity Falls-esque, and she likes to help out anomalies and investigate them and keep track of them. Sort of like a freelance SCP investigator that she's like aligned for. And I said she's very magic. Layla Sonata. She is one of my digital art characters that I've crafted, and she is specifically a music synesthesia. And essentially, she's a character who has hair that is very much at the ends musical note oriented, and her wrists can like show like musical lyrical lines to preface her musical powers. She's good at singing. So she has like, this is like charisma, but I represent charisma as like a harp, so it's like very like forward, like entertainment in that capacity. Jeanette Runa, she is a digital art character that I created, and a little bit side tangent or backstory that I never actually named her before until I named her with the two duos that I have with her, being Layla Santana and Danica Dulce Rizwin, which you have not seen, but they are like a musical like trio. So when you have Layla Santana, Jeanette Runa, and Danica Dulce Rizwin on the board, they complement each other very well, and that's what I wanted to have that synergy with as for characters. But she's very much a tank, and she does color guard. Originally, when I did the digital art for her, she was just some person with color guard and then like a weird Mayan creature with them floating around with them. But yeah, I love her hairstyle and I love her glasses. It's very cool. Here we have Zoe Naomi. She is a digital art character that I created, and she goes by the name Etcher. I created this character during, when I was in community college, when I had to craft a superhero for a English class. And I think the superhero had to be crafted based off of like just generic identity or like deeper meaning and identity when it comes to the spectacle or like the lens, like that, like critical theory, like race theory, like that type of energy. So Zoe Naomi is also a concept with the hair, comes from a specific like art character, but she's not like correlated with our character. But essentially she has an Etch-a-Sketch that she's able to create entities out from the Etch-a-Sketch. So she's very creative. I could put magic, but she's not very much attuned to magic, but she's like creative in that sense. Nicole, who is a psychopath, is someone who I created or crafted in character AI for the purpose of how to write a psychopath. Like you have like, not Cult of the Lamb, but Silence of the Lambs, you have just all the horror movies, and I wanted to experiment with all the adjectives and the verbs and all the words and how to make her sound deadly or act on to be deadly as a course. So she's very much a fighter, she's very creative, and she's very sneaky. Next we have Shelby Vore. Shelby Vore is a character that I created when I was doing digital art, and she is this mystic, primitive female character, similar to, I forgot her name, but I'll just say Beast Boy for now. I know that was weird. But like the female with like the charm around her neck, if I put it up here. And then she can able to have like beast powers. Essentially, when she puts a skull or any form of skull like on her body, let's say like it's a batwing skull, like her arm can have that wingspan or like just that energy of like a batwing and can like gust like her opponents. Or if she has like a dinosaur head, she has the ability of the strength of a dinosaur or a bite of a dinosaur or like the head on of a dinosaur, etc, etc, and it fits to her cranium as a result, and when she like holds onto it. So she's very much a fighter, and she's very much magic oriented. Dominique Riverta, spicy character. She is one of my digital art characters that I created, and her whole purpose is that, you know, she is like, what's it called? Scorpion. I think it's Scorpion. In Street Fighter. Oh no, it's not Street Fighter. Oh, Mortal Kombat. And she's like, get over here. Like she has a chain tail. She has chain like wrist armbands that like she can throw and like latch on to people. She's very dominant. Dominique Riverta in that capacity. She's also sneaking, she's very charming, and she's much of a fighter, so she like brawls. Chef Chili is, I gotta say, like a little bit of my favorite. She is a character that I crafted in Character AI, and essentially she is this blind, deaf, ASL or American Sign Language chef who I wanted to craft as a sense of, can I craft a character that AI can try to like formulate like someone who doesn't talk? Like, can it do that? And it can, which is very interesting. And like to talk to is very interesting as well. She's very much a healer, and she's much of a sneaker. She's a shoe. Sage Von Baker. Sage Von Baker is a digital art character that I created, and she is very much a fighter. She likes to not just brawl, but like use her vacuum saber, which she is part of the group that Evelyn Fresco is from, that fights off like the dust bunnies or dust storms. So when paired with her or with people with the type, then she has like a bonus, or like her affinity bonus is there, because like she has hard trust issues, but when she's with other cards similar to this, then she has more like, okay, I'll hang out with you more, that type of energy. Marnie Callahan. Marnie Callahan is one of my OGs in digital art when I was getting into my digital art career. And essentially she is a botanist. She likes to work with robots, very much solar punk energy. And essentially all the robots that she makes has to have some element of plant energy in them. So in her hair, she has like little like leaves. And she's very much like smart and intelligent, so she's very much a healer and very creative in that aspect. And here is Danica Dulce Rizwan. I really love her art. I think it like showcases like her personality very well, even like simply. But she is a original character from my digital art side of myself, where she is just a party animal that I wanted to create. Nothing too specific. Like I just wanted to like, I think she was inspired by the time when I was making my webcomic, The Plotline Continuity, or TPLC on Webtoons, which I have this character named Susanna, who is very much a rich, extremely rich female who goes to high school, but at the same time she's not very pompous. She's very much someone who's like, guys, let's go to Taco Bell and eat. What do you mean? It's like glam camping. Like I don't even know what that is. Let's go to the tent. Let's find some deers. But she's very much like in tune with herself. But that's not Danica Dulce Rizwan. I think the whole point of also with Party Crasher element is the DDR initials is why I also leaned in for her name to be that way. Dance Dance Revolution. So I think here we have the pop culture section that I wanted to just emulate. Like, okay, maybe now you kind of maybe understand specifically types of cards that I labeled as such or not. I can definitely change them if I need to. Just let me know, and that'd be cool, and I'll think about it. I'll think about it. So this is Ryuko, oh my gosh, okay, I'm gonna also mispronounce these, I'm sorry. Ryuko Montoy. She's from Kill la Kill, and she's an academy student. And I placed her as a fighter because of the scissor sword that she has, and a brawler because she likes to punch. She's very aggressive if you know her as a character. And I watched the anime, so it's pretty good. She gives main protagonist energy. I did this pose based off of a art piece, I think, and I just put it into my style, so it looks nice. Shiro. Shiro is a character from an anime called No Game No Life. She is a tacticianist or a gamer tacticianist in this world where she and her brother get sucked into a game world. Also, I have to talk about, if you don't know Ryuga Montai from Kill la Kill, she is trying to find the other piece of a big sword, and she stumbles upon this academy which has like high pompous like people in some regard, or like has to face against the student council in order to get back what she deserves or finds or needs. Oh, and she is creative and she's very much a healer. Makima. Makima is from the anime Chainsaw Man, and she specifically is a magic user, range, and very creative, like very cunning. In Chainsaw Man, she is a public safety hunter, or like the lead organization of a specific squadron with the Chainsaw Man, and I forget the other characters actually, I'll just put them up here. But essentially, that's her as a character. And all of these picks were specifically like, okay, what are more iconic picks or personal picks? Like this to me was a personal pick, this was a personal pick, this was a power level pick, because from looking up what are the best anime female characters that are like relevant. That's why Hatsune Miku is here. So Hatsune Miku, she has that charisma. She's very creative. You know, she can sing. She's very creative. She brings out the best in you. And she's a Japanese Vocaloid. If you don't know her, then here's some art. And then we have Urza Scarlet. She's a personal pick of mine. Also, she's also a very powerful character. She is a fighter, defense, and a magic user. She is from the anime Fairy Tail. Essentially, she's a good character. I think she has the ability to change gears. So what I mean by gears is that she's like has different armor sets. So I guess she has a ways of changing different armors. So her ability right here is like Requip, which I think is in the anime as well, where she can have like this like flame samurai like attire versus an armor knight attire that she can just Requip on the go. And then this is Firen. She is from the anime something Firen. I don't know on the top of my head. I have not watched this one. This was actually just like something that I felt like was relevant during the time when just making it, and I found that like just searching up like what's the most powerful characters. It's this and then the Fire Girl, which the Fire Girl is not part of the same anime, but I'm just like, yeah, sure, I'll put her in here. But essentially, she is very magic and very creative as a result, and she's immortal in that capacity. And I think when I was reading up on her in the wiki, is that she is someone who is able to copy skills or like has some form of like ability, like very powerful like being. So that's why I have this specific thing. Then we have Princess Mononoke. She's from the Ghibli anime Princess Mononoke. Okay. And she's a fighter and she's very much defense. I think I could put her as like a brawl character. I personally have not seen the anime, which I'm like, but also I just wanted to have like a Ghibli character. That's what my excuse of having her as a character in there as well. Here is Yumeko Jabami. She is from the anime Blop. Beep boop beep boop beep boop. I don't remember it. Down my head. But essentially, she has. Oh, yeah, there's a string here. She has. She's a very impulsive gambler. That's it. And I wanted to have in my card game someone who has like a very gambling aspect or appeal. Like I have Lubov as a character who's a drunk gambler, but like I just want like a compulsive character. How can I craft that? And then this is what I get out of it. So she's very creative in that sense. I don't want to say stealthy. I have not watched this anime. Clearly, okay. And then our final cards are specifically boss cards. So boss cards I want them, or essentially I wanted to have this ability to have a single player aspect of the game, which I think I've achieved, which is nice. But I also want it to be something where, you know, you can wife up, you can riz the bosses and you can use them, but also at the same time they are very counterproductive in your strategy. So you have to think in mind, like, hey, if I have this boss card, it's pretty good. Like, the mana cost of what you get back is awesome. The affinity is difficult though, and the health is pretty tough. But when you use their skills, they are very good in a sense. If you use them or get to pull them from the character banner. So Hela, all of these are okay. I was like, did I have to mention character AI or not? Okay. These are all not from character AI. Obviously these pop culture ones are not from character AI. These are just like from pools that I found, like, okay, here are just some notable things. Let me do practice on trying to represent their skill well and as well their type well, and then finish with their affinity, attack, health, and mana. But essentially Hela is a character that I wanted to create that's very hellish rebuke. Right, like rebuke here, or like D&D. Her backstory as a boss is that she is a infernal champion, and she is someone you would find on the gladiator ring, fighting not just for her life, but fighting for her life, but for the life of it. Like, she was born into this, and she is made to just give carnage to people, and just like feel overpowering. So that's why her attack is like very high, and her roll stats for like roll a d20 if she beats the base affinity and then nullifies card attachments on the character. So that way, like, any specific attachments that are on a character, which you don't clearly know what I mean by that. What I mean by that is sort of if I had, this is an item card, let's say this item card was 8 plus 5 to attack on this card. And then if she faced this card and it rolls a d20 and beats the base affinity, which she can't really beat a base affinity against another boss, then let's say this was like 18 and then rolls it and gets a 19. Then the effect of this card does not work on this card. So like any like food gets nullified, any items or perks gets nullified as a result, and so on. So she's a special card. And specifically for the boss cards, I did more of like clothing and just design and simplicity and dynamic poses. Eclipse, she got them hips. She is an original character as well for this specific card game, and she's very magical and she's very range-esque. Above her head is like a Halo Event Horizon-esque thing, and she's very much inspired by the Queen of Mars from the Looney Tunes. That's all I'm gonna say. She has like lunar-esque earrings and water-like whip arms. Like lapis lazuli in like Steven Universe, like that type of vibe. And dude, the hip line. I'm gonna say, peak cinema. Okay, so Lucine. Lucine is another boss. Oh yeah, sure. I'll note it. Obscured, nullifies character card skills. So just like she's just overpowered. Like I say here that like all attachments are nullified. I say just the character skills themselves are nullified. But since this is a boss card, it doesn't affect the boss card, so I didn't really think about that. But essentially, yeah. So if it was a character card like, I'll just use Hatsune Miku. So Virtual Encore, +2 attack for every charisma type on the board. Then this skill would not work when faced against Eclipse. But at the same time, you need to give Eclipse gifts to lower her affinity, so she can trust you more. That's the cause. Lucine, she's just a lust demon, you know. She gives lustful vibes. I just gave her one eye because, you know, it's the one eye wink of like lashes and whatnot. And she's very Dove-esque plus size character. Lovey-dovey. She's very much a brawler type and very much charisma. I put the skill Love is Blind, and then she closes her eyes. See, that's why I'm like, I want to like bounce off the character. She's very much like, I'm here in a Hallmark movie. Let's go. Christmas, that's a vibe. Love is Blind. Roll a d20. If she beats the base affinity, then character card is prone. So it's like head over heels type of deal. So it's like, oh, and then they turn prone as a result if there's a character facing that way. And then over here is Caesar. Caesar is a boss character that I created specifically for the idea of greed and the gambling aspect. That's why she has very much tendril-like abilities in the back over here. She's very much inspired by like Greece attire, which is sort of like the halo of the grass veiny thing here, and she has like a little like crop top-esque like Caesar like cape, which is there, and like a belt. She is very creative and very sneaky, and she has a royal flush. Discard 3 cards from each banner. So what I mean by that is sort of, there are banner cards. Let's say there's the character cards, then there is the item cards, and then event cards, etc. When she's active and when it's like your turn, you have the ability to discard 3 cards from the pile. So it's like 1, 2, 3, and then discard them, and then 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2. So that means like, oh my gosh, you only have this card left. Because the whole point of my game is that you use the gacha system in order to like buy items, buy events, buy characters or waifus, whatever. That you're able to, and then once that depletes, oh my gosh, sorry, Crumb. Once that is depleted, it's pretty much game over. Whoever has the strategy of getting like the card that they need to defeat the active character. So that's why that skill's a thing when it's against other character cards. And this is what notably is every boss card is mostly pertaining to the idea of how can I eliminate fast a character card, but at the same time give the individual some strategy to understand that, hey, if this is a single player, then I'm faced against this. Then I would be using, let's say, like Ryu Kamantoi, Shiro, and Hatsune Miku. And those are my 3 cards that I'm facing against Caesar. And then if my whole thing is that I draw from the banner cards, then if it slowly depletes in one type of category, then I have to be more strategic in trying to defeat her and think outside the box, like, should I risk getting an event card to defeat her as a result? And then lastly, ignore these. You do not see these. You do not see them. We have the last character, who is Morgian. She is inspired, from me at least, like Elven, Fae, like Skyrim, like Fire, Atroposh type of appeal. Very much Green Knight-esque character, where she has like bushy green arms. She's very much like an elven nymph, but like at the same time she's brutal. So she has like Wolverine like claws at the end. She has like spiked like ears, like her face is shroud, but like her physique is there, but at the same time she's a very dangerous threat. She's very much a brawler, she's a healer, and she's defense and decay. At the end of her turn, character cards get minus 10 health. So the 10 health thing was specifically from me gauging from the average amount of health I have for each character, how does it feel to do that? Because if it was any higher, it feels like, or any lower, if it was higher, then it's like, okay, I only have one turn, or it eliminates all my cards to some capacity. Or when it was lower, it feels like you have multiple cards and she's not very threatening as a result. So that's what I had to balance when it comes to her as a character. But yeah, she's very like stoic. She's very much like, okay, and also she has like skulls in her like shrubbery like armor, so interesting. Now I'm gonna go into the item cards, more specifically the personal item cards that each character has. So I'm not gonna say the names of the OCs, I forgot them immediately in my head, but essentially this one's the one for like a primal like surgeon's character who like uses magic. Like when she wields something like a dinosaur head, then she's like. The jade necklace is specifically for the one with the umbrella scythe. She has this jade necklace like pendant, similar to. She gives more. This is Jade Conway. I know that for sure. She's the one that is very much. What's it called? Lara Croft or Lara Croft vibes. That's why I gave her the title of like parkour guru. Here is the vacuum saber that can be utilized from either like both of the individuals, whether if it is Evelyn Fresco and then the other character. I'm sorry, see, they're not special. Okay, then the 3D glasses. The 3D glasses is for Etcher, which she has like an Etch-a-Sketch thing. This is Shelby Vore. This is the chain gauntlets. This is for Dominique Riverta. This is a bone chestplate. This is also for Shelby Vore, like her armor. Etch-a-Sketch. This is for Etcher. Zoe Naomi. Smoke pipe. This is for Amala Paraquin. Color guard staff. This is for the one color guard female. Oh no. Okay, but yeah. Assassin's bracers. This is for the pirate nun. The visors. This is for the botanist character. Chained glow sabers. This is for my Star Wars OC that she has. This is a musical tie. This is for Sonata. Inscripted label. This is for Chef Chili. Party gun. I might revamp party gun actually. This is for Danica Dulce Rizwin. The prosthetic arm is for the one character who doesn't have a right arm. And then the hat, this is for the drunk gambler OC and the character that I crafted. The scarf, this is for Amala Paraquin. And the umbrella side is for Jade Conway. I also have support cards which actually help characters. So the Eco Orb bot is for the botanist character, obviously, and when it's applied, then you know it gets those things. And then the parrot dove is for the pirate nun, and I'll do that. I only have 2 as of now. I might make more. Here are the item cards just in general that can help lower affinity costs when it comes to using your character or your boss or your pop culture like character cards. So this is a music record, and also notably I decided on these types of things from just looking up online, what is things that girls really like? Or dating sim items, or like, yeah, the dating sim items that are like typical. So here's a music record, here's a teddy bear, and all of these values are somewhat arbitrary. I also used ChatGPT to just like figure out, okay, if the lineup of these items, which has the most value. So at the same time, again, these are very arbitrary, but like also after the fact of using ChatGPT, I balanced it out again because it did give me a lot of 10s, and I don't want a lot of 10s in my card, so I had to like finick with the values as well. Here's a handwritten note. Here's a sticker sheet. You're like, what? Crazy. Here's a ring. Here's a photo. Here's a watch. And here's jewelry. Also notably, the value that this has, the more subtraction of the value, the more personal it feels, versus something that has a lower personal cost, like a bracelet or jewelry. And I want those to be more common than a personal item. So that's why I wanted to like lessen the load of like the 10s and give more commonality to like these, because then you have to give more items to these characters in order for them, or utilize them to fight. Okay, that was the music record. Was that it? Oh, here. Then we have, ignore this one. We have the pocket mirror, and then we have a doodle, and then we have a magazine. So these are the food items. Again, how I went about this is that I searched up on Google, what do girls really like to eat? Like, oh, okay. And again, the values here specifically with the plus health is popular by demand, and notably these popular values come from ChatGPT and then me trying to correlate, okay, tweaking the values so they're not so hectic in like being all 10s or being all 1s, etc., or being all such a medium value. So I need to make some higher or lower and do more research outside of ChatGPT to see, okay, is this thing more valuable than this other thing? Here we have chocolate. You know, chocolate, a staple for any girl. Takeout food for any girl. You know, it's very arbitrary. Health. Cake is good. A cupcake is also really good. Ice cream is good. Blueberries, sushi, coffee, macaroons, a cheese platter, noodles, a latte, poke bowl, raspberries, ramen, strawberries, mango, donuts, sandwich, hummus with veggies. You're like, what is this? Like, yeah, it's great. Tea, citrus fruit, bubble tea, nuts. See, we got the alcoholic drinks now. Wine, a light cocktail, a beer, and a smoothie bowl. Matcha, a salad, a mocktail, and a chips bag. And then popcorn as like our final results. Now these cards specifically are domain cards. Domain cards are a playing field card in which affects all the cards in the environment. Because I wanted to apply or appeal to the idea of a dating sim, where in a dating sim you take your date on different locations. That's the whole appeal of this. locations in which feel very anime-esque or just something I wanted to like do. So Helltaker is from the game Helltaker. When I was really into researching, like, okay, what's Helltaker? I'm like, okay, this is what that's from. Monetization. I'm like, this is very anime. Like, monetization is just a personal one, which I think comes from the idea of just general gacha games and how they're portrayed. So because the monetization is very bad, so I just made a domain where like when this is played, then it raises the cost of the banners by 10, which is cruel. But it makes all attacks as well negative to all waifus. So I hate monetization. And it's like, yeah, that's the point of that domain. City rooftop, in animes they have that city rooftop vibe. A bathhouse, you know what I'm saying? I don't have to say more. Say less, say more. There's the zoo, the typical date at the zoo. The shadow realm, that's giving anime. Cafe, the cafe date. And the shrine yard, obviously, like you visit the shrine. You have a kitchen, a lot of kitchen episodes. And then the beach episode. Shopping mall, going for a shopping spree with your waifus. And then a corporate office, because, capitalism. There's the casino. You can gamble. Great. Dungeon crawling, not dungeon. I found love in a dungeon. Can I get it all the way? Gothic castle. Just a generic gothic castle. Giving Castlevania. What? A recreational room. Which, recreational room is one of those cards that I started thinking about when making this, and I'm like, wow, that's actually pretty nice. Where it stems more from the ability of, well, specifically, the recreation room is supposed to be a replacement of a club, like Doki Doki Literature Club, like that type of energy. So recreational club is like that extra activity room where like you get to do like, you visit after school to like hang out, to do like a study group and whatnot. But essentially with this note, like any discarded item cards now go back into the item banner. Since you have the item banner and then you have a discard pile of the item banner after its use, everything goes back into the banner, so like it replenishes itself. So those are one of those things where it's like, hey, that's kind of neat if the recreation is back. And all the health, all waifus are +2. So a dojo. So the dojo is a dojo. Game show. That should be cool. A courtroom. The courtroom specifically is from the game Danganronpa, which is what I've taken note of that. And liminal space, because I just love a liminal space card. Nothing too anime-like. Now that I think about these cards, I might make them like event banners, and then cards in which when a character dies, then you have to draw a card. I think that would be too much. But essentially, what are event cards? Event cards are a very powerful card set in which can change the tide for gameplay. And essentially, originally, it was supposed to be a card where when one of your character cards die, then it activates an event card, which I think would be too much because a lot of my character cards can like do damage to like 2 character cards, and then sort of like, okay, then you have to draw 2 event cards as a result back to back, and that's too much. So I think it's just an interesting power move of a card which you can like display. And these event cards coincide with this idea when it comes to anime, like, oh my gosh, I love this arc, or I love this arc. And what is an arc? Well, an arc in anime is a distinct multi-episode story segment with a beginning, middle, and end that contribute to the overall narrative or character development. They can focus on a specific plot line or a character's journey, which describes a character's significant transformation. An entire season of an anime can contain multiple arcs, which are smaller than a season. I did not read that off of Google. Okay, essentially they don't have text, but I have my Google Doc open, so I will just read them off, and if I need to explain something about them, then I will, but otherwise I'm just gonna note this for myself. If you're interested in any, or you can also give me, if you made it this far, feel free to give me more ideas on types of event arc cards to add to the game. I think it would be very fun. I'm not afraid to experiment with like more types of cards, but I do encourage the idea of like, if it's a very powerful card, it should have a consequence to it to some capacity, or like just some positive that's not like overbearing to the results, or some balance of randomization. So the harem arc. What is the harem arc? Both players are able to fill their active board space up to 3 waifus for free from the drawn waifu banner deck. If you already have a max of 3 on the board, you can draw 1 for free from the banner deck and put it into your hand. And then if you have a full hand, then you cannot in that capacity or that regard. Or you would have to replace a card in order to get that card. What is the alternative timeline arc? All waifus remember, quote unquote, remembers another life and switches sides to your opponent, essentially swapping waifus overall in the process. So essentially, if this is your deck and this is your enemy's deck, and then they draw the alternate timeline arc, then it's sort of like do 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 do. So then you swap places, and then you're working with what you have, which that's like, ooh. But then I think what I have to clarify here specifically is like, do you also keep the amount of mana that you have? Maybe, maybe not. I've not clarified that. So that's what some things are like a little bit broken, but it's like, ooh, interesting card. I think with this card specifically, I was thinking not of Steins Gate, but of Fairy Tail, like the alternate realities of like versus Scarlet or Jalal, or like all those people in that different timeline, etc., etc. Oblivion arc. What is the Oblivion arc? Shadows take hold. Each player must roll a d20 for each waifu and must pick a waifu initially for their respective side. On a 1 to 10 dice roll, waifu becomes catatonic or prone. On 10 to 15 of a dice roll, they are unaffected, and 15 to 20 on a dice roll gains +2 mana to your storage. The love arc. What is the love arc? Let me find it. I gotta find out my thing. The love arc. Based on the amount of mana you have in your storage, you are able to substitute costs from health to attack. Note the max is based on their current stats. On the base, no overstatting. So essentially, if it was like, what I mean by no overstatting, if the main health is +10 or just 10, and they have an item card that does +10 to their health, and they're already full with health, then it's just the full health already. But essentially, the love arc, based on the amount of mana you have in your storage, you are able to substitute costs from health to attack. The amount of cost that you have, you can take it from your health, and from that health, it can be used as a value to put into your main attack. But then you lose that health, so then you can feed into items in which you can like apply that to it. Lovely, lovely, love is warm. Okay, the Bon Voyage arc. What is the Bon Voyage arc? Characters on the board had enough of this. Roll for each character to see who stays or who goes based on the affinity rolls and go into your hand, or if you hit max, they go to the discard. What I mean by when they hit max is you have a max hand of 5. And then if you can't replace them anymore, then it's sort of like you have to take them away. And it's one of those decision factors where it's like you have really good cards in your hand that you want to still play, but you also have a really good waifu card in your hand. So you have to decide, do I want to keep her? Do I not want? Like, do you want to stay in the relationship or not? I don't know. Ooh, bon voyage. Yeah. Prophecy arc. Destiny reveals the next chapter based on your mana storage amount. If it's less than the number amount, you lose a waifu. If it's higher than the number, the enemy loses a waifu. So it's like one roll, and based off of the mana storage amount. Oh, okay, not based off a roll, but like based on the amount of mana that you have in your current state. So it's a strategy of if you have the higher cost of a mana or not, which I might change that. I think that'd be very simple, but then I have to also clarify if you have the same amount, what would you do? Fan fiction arc. Nothing is real. All the domain cards that are active / once active go back into the domain banner. So this is something that cancels out domain cards. I also forgot to put the event thing on here. Because domain cards can be like kind of like icky. And they're supposed to be icky and also supposed to be fun as a result. Just to be like, oh, okay, you're like, this is back to the dating sim aspect of it. And the arcs are like, okay, done. Let's take that over. That was all fanfic. Let's go back to battling. That's that card. The Downfall arc. Pride comes before despair. The player who is attacking opponent this turn chooses one of your waifus. She loses all items and food attachments but gains +3 attack for this turn as a final stand. I'm just like, yes. The Class Trials arc. Obviously this is from Danganronpa. The Class Trials arc. It was found out that the overall waifus, from the overall waifus on the board, one of them is a culprit. When drawn, the opponent chooses, when this is drawn, the opponent chooses one of your waifus to be prone, and one of the enemy waifus with the least amount of affinity or attachment dies. Ooh. So it's a cost of like you drawing it like, oh, objection. It's like you go, and it's like, okay, now I have to sacrifice. Like one of them is like on a death row. I could change this card a little bit, but as of like the vibe of it is a vibe. But I think I have to tweak it more. Redemption arc. You failed and made from previous mistakes, or just from previous mistakes. You've learned from them. The player losing the game, while this card is still in play, if you draw this, have your affinity to your waifu cards in play actively at 0 until one opposing waifu falls from the hands of the other, then discard and then use a previous art card as the top. So this is like a replacement card. So the redemption arc is more or less one of those fail-safe cards where you're like, okay, I have to save myself from this. I need to redeem myself. Or like if you feel like guilty in that capacity, like I need to do better, then this is the card for you. Like a step-up card. The Betrayal arc. I definitely have to revamp this one too. The Betrayal arc. When you draw this card, one waifu card that has the highest affinity from each opposing player must be swapped and be given to an enemy player, as that waifu card with this attachment has lost faith in you. So the highest affinity card, which is like the trust thing, but not based off of any attachment that gives you a lower cost, just general base. It has to be swapped with another high affinity card from your opponent, and I have to also explain if the items come with it or not. Maybe the items come with it. I think that would be interesting. Yeah, with this, yeah, I said with its attachment, so yeah. Ooh. Okay. The One for All arc. Let's see. Choose one of your waifus on the board to represent as your main waifu for the rest of the game. No other existing waifus can enter the playing space, which that one's very explanatory. So this is very much what I was talking about, like Riftbound and the One Piece TCG, or the Wines Beverins, any of those types of games where it's like you have like a leader and then you have like a person here and then you have a base and so on and so on. That's the One for All card. The Isekai arc. You enter a new world. You must play a domain card on this turn. Pull from the domain banner deck for free. And put it in play. So it's sort of like a purpose card, like, okay, I need to change this. Boom. What is it? And if it's better or not, I don't know. Training arc. Where is it? Any waifus in defense mode are able to gain double the mana they already make. And give to player at the end of their turn if this card is still active as a domain. Just good. Rescue / extraction arc. So this is more so from me playing arc raiders, but also just the aspect of like the general, like, oh my gosh, save me, okay, we'll rescue you. When you draw this card, one of your 3 waifu cards you choose, your opponent chooses, are in hostage, and you need a way to rescue them in 3 or 5 turns whilst you're fending against the enemy waifus trying to stop you. So that'll be interesting. So if you, maybe you have to like down like one character in order to save them. Then the tournament arc. So the tournament arc is... Oh, I also have to think about like if I put another waifu on the board, what will happen to the waifu when I save them? Maybe it's one of those things where it's like all the item cards are off of them and then they just go back into your hands. Yeah, I'll do that. Tournament arc. All waifus are forced in active position and can no longer be in defensive position and can be swapped out. Notably, when swapped out, their items are lost or discarded if you reach a max hand of waifus itself. Must stay in your hand via the swap. I like this card. This card's nice. I do that one. Oh, okay. And then ignore these. The Amnesia arc. Memories have faded mysteriously. If you fail to roll affinity rolls, then the waifus that you can't appease leave the board. Also, items / food / support leave as well. So you have to beat their affinity roll. And then Revival arc. One of your fallen waifus seeks forgiveness. One waifu from the discard pile can be placed in your hand / on the board. They're emotionally scarred, but alive once more. Like, ah! So yeah, you can use that one as well. And I want these cards to be like you can play anytime. It's like it's an event card, like it can just happen, like boom. Like even when it's not your turn, then it's sort of like activate this. And I think that's what I want. I've just figured out it right now. Also notably, these tokens are more so something where it's like when you're in the prone state, you know the card is in the prone state, and it will help you like figure out like, or if you don't reach an effective affinity, like oh there's cards which you fail at rolling, like you roll a 1 and like their affinity is like a 3, then you can put a token on their card to say hey you can't use this card for this turn. And if you can't use any cards on this turn, then you can either like choose to do an event card or choose to do a domain card as a result. It gives you that variation of options. Otherwise, thank you so much for listening to my card talk for Gacha On The Go. I think it's a special type of card game for me where I'm like, I really like it. And during the month of October, when I felt like, oh my gosh, I need to just not think about like homework assignments or that fluids, this was the thing that helped me get out of that funk and actually like give me some solace into whatever it is that I need to work myself through. Find a binder, a real binder, but right now I have this is also from the Pokemon Treaty, the one pack. What is it called? I'll show it up here. This is where I got the mats. Love it or get your money back. This was also my setup. So I had my blue lights right here with my mats, and then my phone would be like on here, and the stand would just be like leaning against the ground. And I got this thing. I'll put up the image of what it looks like, what I use. And I didn't really use this button thing, I just used it as a thing, and then I just recorded. So yeah, just in case if you wanted to know. Okay, did I do a ranker? Okay, if I did not do a ranker, then this is my ranker. If I did a ranker, then this is the ranker. Okay, I would rank today a solid B. It feels like a B. I feel like it would be an A if I got all of my edits in. That's gonna be impossible, but because I know how long each one's gonna be. But I would feel like, yeah, I feel like a solid B. I don't feel like a D. I don't. I really don't. I think one thing to take away is that I currently just it feels weird to know I have available time now to do things, and I think it's a weird thing that I'm like, but now I'm sort of like, it's Friday, I get to chill. And I think in the middle of the weekday, it's sort of like stress, because I think I feel that from other people, and then I'm sort of like, I'm harbinging, that's the word, that feeling, weirdly enough, or like they impart that in me. But I don't want to say it's a bad thing on them. It's just it really is a me thing that I feel that. Like I feel worry about someone. Like the best example again was that example of like, is it Lapis Lazuli? I could be wrong. The one female character who's like a water, and then she crying, and then Steven Universe was crying, and I'm sort of like, why am I crying? And that was a feeling. But now I feel like everyone's relief, so I feel relief, some capacity, where I'm like, I'm good. But yeah. Hope you enjoyed my card game, and then if you have any questions about my card game, please let me know. And then if I should do more of these card games, I really love it. I genuinely love it. I want to improve on it. I want to definitely genuinely improve on it. And I could add male characters, my OC male characters, and make them with their skills and whatnot. But I think I want to focus on my next things for the TCG game would be making them energy mana cost cards and having those be a thing, as well as sort of like money in Monopoly. I think that's what I'll do. Like you can have like a certain amount, and then you can cash in like a +5 card. So then you don't need like enough of the +5 card, and then you can like take out from the man. Ooh. Dude, I'm just like, okay, I love it. Then maybe there's also the appeal of like the health bar, which I still have to figure that out. I might do like a health card specific stuff. I think that's the most simplest way, but I think it's also the most difficult thing. But I think what I could do is I can make a card that has like specific values and try to figure that out for like each character. Like maybe I need like a paper pen, and then I figure out like, okay, the health bar is like for this character or this character or this character, which would be interesting. Yeah, that feels right. Yeah. And then also write better event cards. So I have to minimize it, because the simpler in speech, the better, but not enough questions. I feel like the simplicity feels very vague.